Maneva na say ma PENDREAM TV there o say dem yopo.
Abuja for presidential staffer Beatrice Annan Eddie heavy in Sembia family no straight up Eddie Koma Godfred na according to one no say on TSC say NPP for election we omulusu 2024 election we omulusu hopefully say no anka ye baby a e wo san komo transi omutimi transi na omo keka niam bom no mo hu baby a mistakes na de ade na free ba se na be ya omo next election cramp no e bet mama ma improve omo kama na ono de ni ohu ne say NPP for ni na media num na yampia nkwa na mututu na yenko tie bra o say Godfred press conference no be ye no our kind of rata issues no wabe dia mama no woto on side or see ye can lawyer mun lawyers work room a se kan obi odi enu guasie abre law firm no work room ha Godfred eye numere ono no bi eni obi yengo TV Beatrice Annan everybody sansem we etudwa I had so a PENDREAM TV ye best say we subscribe to the channel na fe so no try na me notification bell to send your next content you will never miss it ever to inbox no straight up na what I enjoy the camera yengo tie me about the brody ma boss woto ha say no yengo tie eno ne yambra sisia.
I was very scandalized to hear that Godfred actually had the temerity to come out to talk about the issue of the nolle prosequi as we've been discussing over the past week. And why do I say this? I think if there is any Attorney General who never carried himself with the grace and honor that an Attorney General should carry himself with, it is Godfred. He will go down in the history of this country as an Attorney General who brought no honor to the office. In fact, he was a total embarrassment to all lawyers. And I was shocked that Godfred could actually have the temerity to speak. Well, I don't even know how to describe this, but it shows you the levels of impunity and the levels of low standards we've had to deal with in the last 8 years. That even when the people of Ghana have booted them out of power, they would not even have time for sober reflections and ask themselves what could probably be so wrong as to subject an entire NPP to this kind of embarrassment in the last election. And I think that the NPP are not learning, but in their not learning, perhaps it will be good for us in the NDC. And why do I say that? Any student of law, or you need not even be a student of law to know that an Attorney General ought not to give any reason howsoever described when the Attorney General chooses to exercise the discretion to enter what we call a nolle prosequi, which simply means that no case to prosecute. That's just the big Latin word, nolle prosequi. Godfred as an Attorney General entered nolle prosequi. In fact, because the law says that he had no reason to give, or he was not mandated to give any reasons, and he did not give any reasons. Many people called and said that in tandem with advancement of constitutional democracy, we think that we ought to know the reasons behind why an Attorney General then ought to enter a nolle prosequi. And they'll quickly tell you that the law does not say that they have to give a reason, or in their usual phrase, go to court if you disagree. Today, and let me take this opportunity to salute my learned senior Dominic Ayeni, who has contributed and has enriched our jurisprudence as long as constitutional law is concerned. I can imagine the excitement on the faces of constitutional law lecturers when they are teaching their students and they are having to use what Mr. or Dr. Ayini has done. What did Dr. Ayini do? Dr. Ayini said that although as an Attorney General, the law says that I can enter a nolle prosequi without giving anybody any explanation, I believe that in tandem with Article 296, in my exercise of the discretion to enter a nolle prosequi or to continue a prosecution of any case, I ought to give a reason which is fair, which is candid, and in a manner that shows that the NDC government is accountable to the people of Ghana. And so if you ask me, this is an expansion of what we have been advocating for in constitutional law. And I'm happy that we are having to discuss these things and not having to discuss an Attorney General that says that I owe nobody an obligation. I do what the law says and I have done it and nobody can fault me. If you have an issue, go to court. And so this morning, I want to salute Dr. Dominic Ayini. Be that as it may, I want us for the purposes of this morning to journey and see why Godfred Dami is a very dishonest person and should not have been an Attorney General in the Fourth Republic and has taken our jurisprudence way back, and they have practically messed up not only the judicial system but even the business climate because of a lot of the unethical practices. The courts became like a safe haven where it did not matter the merit of the case. He was so comfortable, whether by calling judges on phone, by visiting judges in their offices, or doing things which we as legal practitioners were actually very new and very novel, if you ask us. But we are being told that it is good, and I'll come there. First of all the cases which Dr. Ayini has entered a nolle prosequi in respect of are cases which were politically motivated. I can understand when people want to say that, oh, it is just you wanting to clear NDC people. But I want to take my time this morning and explain that it's got nothing with anybody wanting to clear NDC people. And this is why. In the case of the Republic versus Ernest Thompson, Godfred Dami charged Mr. Ernest Thompson with over 20 counts, which are 20 different offenses, while he was in power. In the submission of no case, the court itself struck out over 17 of those charges as being frivolous, without basis, and did not show anything. There was no evidence supporting those charges. And so any Attorney General worth his salt would not have 17 charges being struck off out of 20 charges. In the first place, that should tell you that there was something fundamentally wrong, that this gentleman wanted to just charge people, and he just has the penchant of coming after people who express contrary view. I'm sure if I were a public officer, by reason of calling Godfred Dami out, I would be subjected to some charges. That is how he abused the use of his prosecutorial powers as an Attorney General. And so Dr. Ayini tells you that having done these things, there is no merit in that case. You yourself, 17 charges were struck out. In 8 years, you could not get your court, which you had access to call judges or meet them or go to their offices, something you said was normal and the court would oblige you if you do. You could not get conviction. You expect Dr. Ayini to come and do what with those? Now, in respect of Collins Dauda, and this is why many people should be sad that the once office of Attorney General, which was so revered, which the likes of Joe Randolph held, and I mean, their own Joe Randolph, and today has been reduced to naught. In the case of Collins Dauda, this is what Godfred Dami did. He charged him with misapplying public funds to the tune of $200 million. Annie, if Godfred Dami even chose to do an armchair investigation where you sit in the office and you call people to even bring you documents, that charge ought not to have been preferred against Collins Dauda. Why? Because even the bank records will show that Ghana did not receive any $200 million, that the amount which came to Ghana, exclusive of bank charges and other charges anytime you contract a facility, was 198 million. And so ab initio, from the beginning, you are charging a person for misapplying funds or willfully causing financial loss to a figure that did not even exist in the first place, that the government of Ghana did not receive. It shows you that these prosecutions were actually accentuated by malice. Somebody just wanted NDC people behind bars because they were in power. Again, before you can say that a person has actually misapplied funds, I mean, you need to look at what the funds were, what they were used for, and come to a determination that this total sum has been misapplied. You know what they did? Saglemi was supposed to be 5,000 units. There is evidence that Saglemi had over 1,500 units. So even out of that 200 million, which never came, which was 198 as I have established, 1,500 units were built. So even if you wanted to charge him, why would you not do the balancing and see that, okay, by the valuation, the existing Saglemi cost this. The balance is what we are charging you for. Again, in one of the charges, he actually said that the basis of charging Mr. Collins Dauda was because he had issued interim payment certificates, where in this country are ministers responsible for issuing interim certificates. In cross-examination, when Godfred Dami's own witnesses were asked, in all the interim payment certificates you presented, can you show us where Mr. Dauda's signature was? There was not any. So why should any serious Attorney General, in the person of Dr. Ayini, continue with such a frivolous allegation and prosecution because it satisfies the ego of Godfred Dami? He should get over himself. Then we had the Atuforcing. As for Atuforcing, I don't even know what the finance minister has done for Godfred Dami. I think the mere mention of Atuforcing's name, he just goes beside. Because in the Atuforcing case, a court of appeal has actually acquitted and discharged Atuforcing and Mr. Jakba. So as we speak, there is even nothing on record to say that they were convicted. All they needed to do was to discontinue the appeal, that I am no longer interested in this appeal. But for them said, it's a papai on Tiase. I think that if you look at all these things, you know what they wanted to do? They just wanted to prove to people that, oh, we can silence people. It was in tandem with the culture of silence. When you hear that Ameswale has been killed, when you hear that Kaka, who was leading a charge for change, and many others have been killed, if they cannot kill you because you are not an ordinary citizen and you are a leading member of the NDC, they either will arrest you like they did in many cases, or they will just prosecute you.
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.